We are 24-hour recovery people. I'm Verity.
I'm Kirsty.
I'm Dennis.
And we are now joined by Brittany, who
Hi.
is a psychotherapist and ADHD specialist.
ADHD haver.
A haver of ADHD.
An owner of ADHD.
Yeah. We were talking earlier about your ADHD
Yeah.
diagnosis and medication and like music and creativity and how it's sort of shaped you. Do we think that services do enough for neurodivergent people?
If I'm honest, I don't. I think because back like when I was younger, when I should have been diagnosed, I was diagnosed as dyslexic when I wasn't dyslexic. So and then maybe that even put me back because then I thought I was. So then, in my ADHD mind, didn't try as hard academically because I was told I was thick basically. Even and so. I was, and they put you in these other classes when I think the school services as well aren't equipped properly for it, like because there's that many people getting diagnosed with ADHD now. The NHS can't even cope with it. It's like trying to get the some people just can't even get hold of the medication because there's delays because they need so much of it now and they weren't making enough.
Yeah.
What's your experience, Brittany?
No, I don't think services adequately understand neurodivergence. I think that, like you said, schools, you need to really be catching it before people reach adolescence, because if you're undiagnosed when you reach adolescence, the likelihood of I think something like 4 times more likely to use coping strategies like substance use if you're not diagnosed at that point, because that's that adolescence is the age when things are offered to you. These things come on they're on the table suddenly, and if like you said, taking cocaine for the first time made you just feel normal. You were able to cope with things that no other people were just able to cope with naturally. And I think the pull and the drive, like the pull of that, and being able to administer that yourself and to seek it as and when you need it is it's impossible to ignore. I would say neurodivergent children, adolescents, would really struggle not to continue doing that, given the way that it positively impacts. It has a functional purpose. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think having schools more aware of better services, figuring out who's neurodivergent, who's not, and also in recovery programs, having the ability to refer for assessments, having that be part of the system, because 1 in 4 people with substance abuse disorders are neurodivergent. So it's a huge for people working in recovery centres, a huge part of their clientele are going to be undiagnosed neurodivergent people. And those people will keep coming back again and again and again, because this isn't hedonism, it's functionality.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like if I hadn't been able to get my diagnosis and get my medication, I think I'd be back.
Oh, of course.
Right.
I don't, because I think it's all a mixture of the work I did plus the medication. Because then so what you got to think with like ADHD people, I think they get it wrong when it's more dopamine chasing. So imagine you've got a line here and your dopamine, that's everyone else's dopamine levels. Ours is down here. So then what we'll do is we'll spike it with the cocaine and then we feel great because we feel normal again, but the crash, so then you chase it. So then that could be from anything from sniffing coke to buying things, eating sweets, doing stuff you shouldn't be doing.
Sure.
Anything to get that boost of dopamine, that quick fix.
Like a rush.
Yeah, and imagine being able to sniff something up your nose, which instantaneously
Alleviates
gives it.
all that.
Yeah, it's gone. And then, but the thing is, what happens is the thing with cocaine is it's a very powerful stimulant. So you go from being able, that first bit is like, well, when you buy it, the first one's for the drive home. It's it is like that's as long as that one lasts. But the next thing, you've had too much and you can't speak, and the paranoia kicks in, which you have for some of the ADHD to get to that level of paranoia. You have to go quite far. It's not like it's harder to go into psychosis. I think it must be harder to go into like the psychosis sort of side of things with the ADHD. Because there was only, I could probably say once or twice that I had some psychosis symptoms, and they were after like 14 days on the trot. Like, I mean, yeah, but I was functional, so I could finish off some. If it was gone, 25, 30 minutes later, I could be asleep. And it's as mad as that. Where everyone else, they're up lying in bed, can't sleep.
Sure.
I could, it's like having a cup of coffee if you've got ADHD. You can have one before bed.
Yeah.
You can have an espresso before bed if you want. It won't affect you.
Yeah.
At all, does it?
Yeah, and you know, I think when you're a teenager and people say drugs are bad, they're incredibly addictive, you know, you're going to, if you do cocaine, this is what will happen to you, this is what will happen to you. And then you try cocaine as a teenager with ADHD and you go, none of that's happening. None of that's happening. This doesn't feel any more than like having a drink.
Yeah.
And I think that can be dangerous as well, because people with ADHD, although you're able to self-medicate, and yes, that's all well and good, like, you know, in your experience, it's very hard to temper your dosage, as it were.
Yeah, exactly, because, as I said, the more you do, the more you can do, because your tolerance goes. It's like, first time I had it was probably 2 or 3 keys over the whole night.
Yeah.
And then that goes to be able to be, my highest one was, like I said, it was about 30 hours, all in all, was half an ounce.
Yeah.
So that was basically 14 grams. Right, but if you do the maths on putting that into 0.3s, that's 40 odd bags.
Yeah. Does your tolerance go up then?
Oh, massively, yeah. Yeah, like I said, like, you could, if you bought 2, say for example, like I said, the first one will be gone before you get home. 100%. And it's like, what started happening when me and my friends would get it, if we get, like, we're having a night, so we'd get some things, I'd always make sure there was an extra one in my pocket. You know, when they'd left.
Well, and you know, and that, to me, that is testament to the fact that it was you required it to function. It was not recreational. You were not chasing a party. You weren't. It wasn't for, you know, you weren't sort of chasing this hedonistic lifestyle. You just wanted. It was for your own personal sense of well-being, which is a real testament to me that it is self-medication. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because
I just sit at home.
Yeah, exactly. Sit at home, close the curtains, and just be on your own, and you have this almost safe space, not having to talk to anyone, and being able to focus. Then, you know, but when you've got kids and stuff like that, it becomes difficult. But like I said, when I went through started going through the divorce and not being around my children as much, allowed me to do it more.
Yeah,
that must have been a strange sort of juxtaposition in like feeling probably a little bit protective over it, because it felt, you know, you were so dependent on it to function, but also the shame that comes with having to like hide it.
Yeah, because then that was the thing. It went from doing it socially to, this is now, I need this and I don't want anyone to know. And the only people who knew that I was doing as much as I was me and my dealer. That was it.
Yeah.
There was, and you know, as dealers have confidentiality, they won't tell anyone, because if they start running their mouth, they've got chances they're getting caught.
Right.
So dealers, if you're paying on time and you're doing this and you're doing that, dealers, they're not going to blab on you.
No.
Because you're a nice big pay packet to them. If the dealer comes out and has a conscience and goes, oh, well, I think he's doing too much. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
You don't hear of that very often. No.
not common in dealers.
No, it's hell. They're not your friend either.
One of our previous guests talked about like a comfort blanket. Having it as
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Knowing it was there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you think that sort of having a neurodivergency has benefits?
It does when there's a crisis.
Oh,
Yeah, you're better in a crisis than you are in. If everything's calm, it's like it feels like something's gonna go wrong.
Feels like dying.
Yeah, I'm just bored, and it's like sometimes some people can't understand. It's like when I've been at my mum's, staying there, and she's like, "Well, just stay in." I was like, "I can't do that. Can't just sit here and do nothing." It's like, because then I'll procrastinate and I won't get out of bed. And then you'll be like, oh, well, you've not got out of bed for 3 days. It's like, yeah, because I can't. I need that stimulation, even if it's going out to get a coffee or something.
Yeah.
I need that. You need that sort of stimulation. It's difficult, but like I said, there is positives to it. Like, if there's a crisis, it's like all of a sudden you're like, oh, right, well, yeah, this is fine. And you can be calm in the crisis. But
That's really interesting. I've not heard that before.
oh yeah, it's like
Well, because your levels of dopamine
Yeah.
are suddenly, because it's like it's the same as riding a roller coaster. Do you know what I mean? I think when you are dopamine deficient, then when your dopamine levels are spiked by novelty or pressure or a crisis, suddenly you're at the same level then as everyone else. Whereas everyone else is dysregulated in the crisis,
Wow.
you're able to then regulate to a normal level.
you just be like, right, this is how we do this, and it's a weird feeling, but people will come to you when they oh Dennis, this is happened. What do I do?
Yeah.
And
you're
is
like,
that
oh.
even when you're on drugs as well?
Oh, yeah, when you're on drugs. The thing is, when you at first you very much like you're great at first, but then the minute it becomes your dirty secret, you've got isolation then because you don't want to be around anyone.
How did it feel to finally tell people?
Massive weight off my shoulders, but it was 1st of April. I told everyone in the end.
you?
So
It was the
Did
celebration.
you do that on
event.
purpose?
Yeah.
No, it was literally. That's when it ran out the half an ounce. But it was in
Just so
the
happened.
Yeah. But I remember. So Bolton Wanderers, who's my team, they're our rivals are Wigan, and we hadn't beat them in years at this point. And I remember saying to Mum, I need to go and have a drink at the pub, and I need to just be on my own because tomorrow is a new day, and that's it. After this, I'm going getting out. This is happening. I remember being in the pub, being on my own, quite emotional, and I was speaking to my friends, and they like on the phone they had the Bolton match on. I thought, right, you better fucking win. Because I'm not
Giving it up.
Right, I'm not starting this on a loss.
Yeah.
And that was the first time Bolton beat Wigan in years.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, and it was because I remember it was like, well, that's the sign now, isn't it?
Yeah, you're like, fine.
You're like, okay.
Because we met at the Achieve celebration event,
Yes.
didn't we, last year? And you spoke in front of quite a few people.
There was about 150, 200 there or something like that, wasn't it?
No, we won't allow that many.
Oh, sorry. We can take that bit out.
You're like,
No, I'm sure it's fine. It was a very popular event.
There was a few.
Yeah, there was a few there. No, it was a really good event, really popular, and you stood up and talked, and I was like quite.
Well, that was the
taken by
first
story.
time I'd got up in front of a crowd since,
Yeah.
and I kind of wanted to do it to see if I could do it. But I'll have to speak about her here now. So she's a very good friend of mine. In fact, she was the one who noticed there was something wrong. So she's called Jess, and we're very close. And she like basically, I remember when I said to her I was helping her out with something, and she was like, Dennis, why are you always fucking hanging out your ass? Why are you always rough? Is there a problem going on here? I was like, I don't know if you noticed. And so on the morning of that speech, I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not going. So then she sends me a voice note going, no, go on, you've done this now. This is for you. Go do it. Go stand up there and the next thing I go, Dennis, if you're not out of that fucking bed right now, I'm going to ring your mum. I'm going to ring Tom. I'm going to ring Ian. To get someone to get you out of that bed. I'll ring the police and do a welfare check if I have to. And I was like, well, you don't have any of the numbers. She's like, do not underestimate. And so she was the reason I turned up that day, because she was like, just had a go at me. But sometimes that's what you need, because and this is what she does a lot, when I'm in a bad mood, she'll piss me off. But then what that does is I forget why I was pissed off.
and then pissed off with her.
Yeah, because I'm pissed off with you. And then, I'm all right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's nice to feel. She sounds like a really good friend.
Yeah, Jess is a good friend. Yeah.
It must feel nice to feel understood in that way.
Yeah. Well, I only met her a couple of years ago. She was going through similar circumstances. Not with drugs. She don't touch drugs at all. She's very anti-drugs. Is Jess. But yeah, she was splitting up with her husband now, split with my wife, and we both worked at the same place. And she's got 2 children. I've got 2, and so we've just started taking the kids out, and then we could talk to each other, and because we were going through something similar, we just bonded like that. So it's like on my way here, because my ex-wife had done my head in, she was like, "You've not spoke to me today." I was like, "I'm not in the mood to speak," and she's like, "Tough, answer the phone." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, she's a good friend. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your experience of ADHD? Do you have any? Or any neurodivergency? Anyone?
Me?
Yeah.
Or anyone that I know?
Yeah, anyone you know.
My best friend has ADHD.
Yeah. Have they sort of struggled with any?
Yeah, they struggled with addiction, but they're clean now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you, were you the sort of part of their journey?
We kind of got clean at the same time, so we really helped each other out, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it must be tough though. Like, you need a support network, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100% in the support network.
Yeah. Who's been in your support network group?
I have a lot of very good friends and a very supportive partner. Made a life here for myself in Old Trafford. And I live very close to one friend called Verity. Live on the same street as her. She's great support to me. And yeah, I think for me, having ADHD and, you know, I didn't get medicated until I was 30. So I went 30 years unmedicated, even though I knew, even though I had a diagnosis when I was a child. I didn't want to take medication, and I think it's hard for adolescents to take ADHD medication because you're developing your personality and you're developing a sense of self, and taking ADHD medication at a time like that can be quite confusing. Not that I don't think it dulls your personality, but when you're just figuring out who you are.
Yeah, it's probably not the right time to take it.
I refused it for a really long time, struggled along, worked many jobs. Yeah, worked many jobs, moved many times, was constantly seeking, you know, something else, something bigger, something better, and very messy about all of it. And then when I turned 30, I decided I wanted to go back to school, and so I decided to start medicating, and my God, I was shocked at how well I did on the medication, and I felt so bad for myself that I hadn't taken the plunge sooner, and yeah, so when I went back to school and I started taking ADHD meds, things got a lot easier for me, and I don't live near my family, so my friends and the people, my sort of the family that I've created are really important to me, you know. And all of these people are neurodivergent. I'd say about 95% of my friends are neurodivergent. And there's nothing quite like a neurodivergent friendship in my mind, in my eyes. There's nothing quite like two people who are equally, you know, as batshit as each other. Like, you know, being able to like really get into flow state with conversation and ideas. Like, it can be, get a room full of ADHD people together, like big things will come out of that room.
Yeah, if we can get past the planning stage.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. We'll be in there for days trying to get started. But yeah, I think that for me, making sure I'm surrounding myself with people who are also neurodivergent has really helped me to live unmasked. And it's helped me to really enjoy my ADHD. Because for a really long time, I did not. And even though I had a diagnosis, and I think this happens for a lot of people with ADHD, especially ones who don't have a diagnosis, is you internalize your symptoms, you internalize them, and they become a personal moral failing. And that can be quite isolating.
Because it's like, just in your head, you're just like, why can't I just do that?
Yeah.
Why can't I finish that task?
Mm-hmm.
And because then all of a sudden, it becomes boring. And then it's physically painful. It's like even to wash the pots.
And do you think that's where drugs help because they sort of make it more fun? And
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah,
definitely.
definitely.
Well, they up your dopamine levels so that it's not about, you're not bored anymore.
boredom.
Yeah, but I think like there's also this, cause I have internalized ableism. I don't know about you, but I'm very internally ableist towards myself. So I often berate myself, why can't you do this simple task?
Oh, yeah.
Why can't you, even though I know why, like it's still there, there is still a large part of me that has internalized the way that other people see the disorder. And, it's hard to justify it to yourself. I can't get up and do the dishes because it's boring. And that's physically painful to me. And I'm here like about to burst into tears, lying on the couch, not saying anything, about to burst into tears, giving myself hell for it. So I'm not even enjoying this time.
And then when someone comes home and goes, why have you not done the pots? then it's a full-blown argument because you wanted to do them and you wanted
But I
to
can't
do them.
justify that to myself. It's hard to say to yourself, it's a disorder that's stopping you from doing that. Because you're like, no, well, it's just laziness, isn't it? But the difference between laziness and ADHD is that people that are lazy are actually enjoying themselves when they're not doing anything. Whereas I do not.
Oh, you're there like
I can.
staring at your phone going, oh God, I can't be arsed for this.
Well, it's just berating yourself constantly for not being able to achieve the way that others can. So for me, back to my original, for me, surrounding myself with neurodivergent people really helps me to understand that there's nothing wrong with me, and helps me play to my strengths.
And do you think people in recovery would really benefit from hearing this more?
Well, yeah, it's like that's why like when I did the boxing talk, which I got battered by the way, I did a charity boxing match. They told me, we promise you'll get a fair fight. Was hell. I'd done it 8 weeks. I spoke to him afterwards. I went, bloody hell, you're good considering you've done it 8 weeks. He was like, what do you mean? It's like you just done the 8 weeks training. He was like, yeah, I did them, but I've been doing it for 2 years. I was like, what? This is better. Well, but the reason I did that was because I wanted to show the link between addiction and ADHD because I think it's overlooked. Like, if you go into the prisons, I guarantee there must be a huge amount of them in there that have got ADHD.
Oh, definitely.
100%. And, and a lot of addicts will... They will have, like, a lot of people who are in active addiction and in recovery, like you said before, they're going to have ADHD and it's just going to be overlooked. And I think if they deal with the actual problem, the solution will be easier for them. And there needs to be a massive change in how services work to, like, I think you were saying before about getting people fast-tracked. Yeah. If there is that, they need to jump to the top of the...
Well, it's not, we're not using our population to the best of our advantage. There's this story I read once in a textbook when it was describing ADHD services, and there was this story in the textbook, and the story was that there was a child, we'll call him Johnny. Johnny is, he's very disruptive in class. He never sits down, he never turns in his homework, he's doing really badly, he's constantly in trouble, constantly in detention. That I think is the equivalent to people, in and out of prison, in and out of prison, in and out of prison with, substance abuse and, drugs or whatever. As soon as Johnny was put in a different environment, so after school, they sent Johnny to an art school, and that art and the art school, he was there just to help everyone. He'd organize things, he'd get things for people. He became like a little, and he thrived. He thrived, completely thrived. Bad behavior gone because his skills were being used properly. And I think we can keep sending people to prison and waste everyone's time.
And money.
Yeah, and money. Or we can start to figure out where these people will thrive. Yeah. What environments will these people thrive in? How can we support these people so that they're able to, and we can enjoy their skills, because the thing about ADHD is it's a disorder until you put somebody in the right spot, and then it becomes a superpower. Wow. So, yeah, I think we could do a lot better.
Yeah, easy. We've talked quite a lot about sort of cocaine. Are there other drugs that ADHD people tend to lean on?
For me, my like sort of, it was cocaine, and there was, don't know if anyone remembers it, the what would it have been called? What's its actual name? well, we used to call it bubble, which was it was a legal high when it came out. So MCAT,
Oh yeah, methadone.
methadone. That's it. I didn't want to call it the other one, which it sounds
Methadone.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was so methadone.
Easy mistakes to make.
Yeah, so it's not far off.
Huge consequences.
Massively different drugs. Now that was an eye opener. That one. So yeah, it was. But what was weird? It was those times were feral, absolutely feral. It cost. It make you stink of cat piss. Cost less than a tenner, and you can get it delivered to your house in the post.
Very easy.
But it would keep you up for days. But what had happened is that I could finish work on a Friday, and the next thing I'm still in my uniform on a Sunday in someone's house. You're not showering in ages. It comes out your pores. Like this horrible stench would come out your pores. Like and anything you were wearing, if you then put it in the washing machine, all your clothes then stank a bit. It was a weird drug.
Did that have an effect on your ADHD?
Yeah, it was a because imagine something that's a bit similar to like cocaine but ecstasy at the same time.
Okay.
So it'd last as long as sort of like, so you'd sniff it and you get the instant sort of rush, but then it would have a like sort of more of a euphoric side to it. So for me it was, I did that for a bit and then that just kind of disappeared after because they made it illegal, and then there was a factory making it in the UK and they found that it was actually in Bolton. And then it was for me ecstasy, but I tried pretty much most things. I didn't ever go to sort of like crack and smack or anything like that, but I tried most recreational drugs. Ketamine, that one wasn't for me. I didn't like that whole, because that's different. So where with cocaine you get the dopamine rush, with ketamine I can't feel my legs, and I don't really want that one.
I would say all drugs are beneficial in some way to people who are neurodivergent. And what I mean by that is that neurodivergence at large, so whether or not it's ADHD or autism or a combination of the two, a lot of it boils down to sensitivity. So either hyposensitivity, meaning which would result in sensory seeking behavior because you're hyposensitive. So you're seeking sensory experience. So you take MDMA, you take ecstasy, that would heighten your experience, your sensitivities, or hypersensitivity, whereby you are displaying sensory avoidant behaviors. So like alcohol, cannabis, downers, basically, to dull your experience. I think that neurodivergent people largely use substances to temper their sensitivities in order to experience things in a way that's more comfortable for them. So I would say any drug can do that. And there's no one specific one cocaine obviously is a big hitter because it basically cures ADHD.
I think in a way what it is it's whatever you end up taking.
Yeah, exactly.
You will then use it as your coping strategy.
Yeah.
So alcohol for me, it's never been a problem.
Yeah.
I can take or leave it, and always have been able to. It was never the problem.
Yeah.
And you can try and blame that on, I'll have 2 pints and then I'll want a bag. Now I already wanted the bag.
Yeah. I'm drinking the pints to make it seem fair.
I'm having a beer, so I'm not dry sniffing. That's basically it. And to make the more social thing out of it, and to in a way hide the fact
to lie
from
to
my
yourself.
friends that I only do this when I have a drink, which is bullshit. I've been doing it before I've come out. Do you know what I mean? That was the fact there. It was I was just doing it. I did it because I needed it.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think when you find your coping strategy or you find your drug of choice, that makes you feel better.
It just has to be expensive.
You hold on to it for dear life because and I think as well there again it's the stigma and the shame around drug use makes it very hard for people who are to reach out and to get out of these situations, because you have to admit you're abusing a substance, then you have to go through the jump through the hoops of, I'm not doing this for the reasons you think. and then convince people of something that is really just your own internal experience. You know, you can say to somebody, cocaine helps me, and I don't think people are, people might not automatically believe you.
No, but you're right, because, like, say, for example, like, my mum, who's never touched a drug in her life, or, like, she's never touched anything like that in her life, then she doesn't understand that she's, no, you're just doing this, and it's this, it's this. No, you don't get it.
And that further isolates you.
Yeah, because then it's not having that understanding factor. The fact that, like, talking about it helps massively. It's like, that's why I'm not ashamed of it. It happened. What happened. I can't take it back. And no one died. Do you know what I mean? No one died.
Also, there's no shame in looking for a way to medicate yourself when nobody show. Do you know what I mean? If that's the nature of the human spirit, is that you will do what you can to feel okay. And if you're not provided with something, you'll find something. And I think that it just goes to show how, intrepid the human spirit is, that, where there's a will, there's a way. You'll figure it out, and people do. And substance use is often the result. But there's no shame in that.
It's no shame. There's no shame in it. It's just there is a point where you have to stop.
Sure.
Yeah, when when it's just when things get too much and it starts affecting, because as much as one, it is illegal, and but then it's the cost of it, the what it can do, the chance.
What else is in it?
Well, there's that, because. There's exactly.
It's unregulated.
Yeah, and that's why it's illegal, because it's unregulated. At the end of the day, they use other drugs for things all the time, like ketamine's used in the hospital all the time, and cannabis is now used. You can get a prescription in the UK, but there's the laws are it has to be vaporised. They can't be smoked.
Right.
Yeah, it's.
Sure.
I don't quite understand that.
Tobacco.
What?
It's the tobacco.
It's a tobacco.
So if you vaporise it, then you're not having the tobacco.
Tobacco's legal.
Yeah. So the
Yeah,
vaporise.
but tobacco's a nice taxable drug, though, isn't it? That's what a lot
Nice
of it-
taxable drugs.
It's the same with alcohol, because with like I say, alcohol was never my problem, but alcoholism can be one of the worst there is, because it's so readily available. It's every shop, everywhere you can get it, and that is it's everywhere you look. There'll be an advert for a beer on TV, Carlsberg this and Stella that, and it's even pushed in your face.
Oh yeah.
Sanctioned.
Yeah.
Sanctioned
It's a
drugs.
huge industry.
And you know what? Which is why it's such a shame that there's so much stigma around substance use, and especially substance use in neurodivergent people, because I think a lot of people are slipping through the net. A lot of people aren't seeking help, and a lot of people won't talk about it because they're ashamed.
Yeah.
And I think wider knowledge around the likelihood of becoming addicted to substances when you have ADHD or autism, just that knowledge alone, I think, could help a lot of people. Knowing that this isn't a personal moral failing.
Yeah.
You're actually trying to regulate yourself, and that's normal to want that. It's normal to want to feel regulated.
We're about to wrap up, guys. But
Okay.
is there anything you'd like to add, signposting, or any people that you would recommend sort of reading about, or?
It's like I said, well, with my clinic that I went to, and I understand that not everyone can have the money to do it. There is, which I wish I'd known, there's a thing, if you can do it, you can get it done a bit quicker with the right to choose.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, no one told me that.
And short as well on the right to choose.
Yeah, it's a lot short, because I was basically told when I went in, we're going to put you on the list, but it's a 2.5 year wait, and I thought, I've got ADHD, I'm not waiting 2.5 years.
Yeah. You did by then.
Yeah, so I'll go pay for it. And they said there are clinics where you can pay for it, so I went and paid for it. Now, Beyond clinics have been fantastic. Like Dr. Morgan, he was, I sat there with him, and we've gone through it, and they've been supportive wherever I've needed it. They've been really good. So there is ways around it, but yeah, beyond clinics, and if you can't afford that, looking at the right to choose.
Yeah.
Because if you're in active addiction and you're doing it to self-medicate, you do not have 2.5 years.
No.
If you're at the point where you need the help, you ain't got 2.5 years, because, well, there's something needs to be done to kind of speed that process up, right? Because apparently in Bolton there's like one specialist for the whole of Bolton. Bolton's the biggest town in Europe. How can one specialist be
Enough. Yeah.
It can't be. So maybe they need to start putting more funding into neurodivergency in the UK, and not just saying, because you keep saying it now, like them going, oh, people with people with ADHD shouldn't be able to get PIP, they don't need it. It's like, well, obviously you don't understand what ADHD is then, so your opinion means nothing. And it's not just not focusing or being hyperactive. It's like the amount of people, like, excuse me, ex-wife's friends who I can't stand, but one of them was like, oh, my ADHD's kicking in. It's like, kicking in? Don't stop. You're lying.
When does it clock in?
I don't even know that.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I could suggest, really, because services are so underfunded, you know, perseverance, reading. I would suggest anything by Gabor Mate. He writes a lot about substance addiction and neurodivergence, specifically ADHD, as he has ADHD, and he was reading his work on it was really quite life-changing for me, and I began to understand myself in a way that I hadn't before, and that really helped me to understand my relationship with dopamine, do you know what I mean? How I was in various ways self-regulating through addictive behaviors. So I would recommend anything by Gabor Mate, and just talk to people, talk to your friends, you know, tell somebody about it, tell someone, you know, if you're listening and you're feeling like this is resonating with you, go call your mate and talk about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, just opening your mouth and saying words. It really helps. Like, you've got to have that friend. You know, everyone's going to have one who, you know, you can go to if there's a problem. I'm lucky. I've got a few. Yeah. I've got like Jess. I've got Tom, and I've got Ian. Yeah. I've been on stage with Tom for 13 years, and we predate to primary school together. But he was a couple of years younger than me. But yeah, you just need someone who you can talk to, who, let's say, won't judge. They probably are, but they're not going to put it forward that they're judging you.
Well, also, it's not necessarily about them either.
No, because
it doesn't matter. It's about releasing the information, I think.
Yeah, someone who will listen.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
And if you don't have a friend, see a therapist.
Lovely. We're going to call it there.
All right.
Thank you very much, Dennis.
Thank
Brittany,
you.
Kirsty and I are very grateful to have you on. We are More Than a Label, and this is the 24-Hour Recovery People podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.